Okay, good morning, everybody. I hope all of you are doing well. Just give me a minute so I get all set up. So, how is everybody here on this fine Thursday morning? I think it's Thursday morning. Yeah, good morning. Just give me a minute as I set up my device. Okay, so we are already up to 190 people. That's good. Okay. How am I? I'm good here. I'm good. So, I'm doing well. Pranav is there. Yeah, he's at home. Okay. Morning Ketan. Morning Anusha. Good morning Nikita. Good morning Shreya. How am I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. चल रही है जिंदगी. Waiting for flights to open so that I can come back to Hubli. Good morning Gagandeep. Good morning Sai Sharad. Good morning Sahana. Good morning Srinidhi. Good morning Ranjita. Good morning Lasya. Good morning everybody. Good morning. Okay. So I hope all of you are prepared or at least preparing well for your uh, MT year. I think all of you know that you have MT this week, right? You have your MT this week, right? So I hope that all of you are preparing well for it, right? Because Akash, which college you are in, beta? I don't know which college you are in here. Okay, so make sure that you guys are preparing well for your exams here. Okay, make sure that you prepare well for your MT because that is very important. You have your full 11th class syllabus, so prepare well for it. Okay, so shall we start? Is there anything else that you guys would like to get out of the way? Prerna, no. Akash, I don't teach in Prerna. I don't teach in Prerna. I teach in Avanti Global PU College in Vidyanagar, Shettar Layout, Lingaraj Nagar. So yeah, that's where I teach. I don't teach in Prerna. When is MT6? I think MT6 is 1 week after MT5. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, chicken. Okay, so let's not waste any more time here. Let's start with the lesson then. Okay, if there are any more questions that I find interesting, I'll answer them along the way. So now we'll start with your second chapter. Okay, if any of you are joining today, if this is your first lesson, we are already done with the first chapter of your 12th standard. That was reproduction in organisms. Okay, Pranav, please अपने jokes बाद में मारना यार. Okay, so Sukanya, yes, in MT5 you will have your full portion of 11th standard, full portion of 11th standard, right? Okay, so just give me a minute as let me see who all has joined us. We're at 2:37 now. Okay, awesome. So let's start with the lesson then. So today what we'll be doing is we'll be starting with the second chapter. Okay, the notes for the first chapter are there in the drive. So if any of you have missed the classes, all the four notes for all the four lectures are there in the drive. You can download them. You can study from them. Okay, make sure that along with preparing for MT, you're also studying the 12th standard syllabus side by side. Okay. Most probably for you guys next year, the syllabus for NEET might be slightly reduced. Okay, at least that's what I'm hearing, or at least that's what some of the politicians are trying to accomplish. That the syllabus for the NEET might be a bit reduced, right? But which chapters will be part of it, which chapters will not be part of it, we are not sure yet. So obviously we'll have to cover it all. Dhanush, I teach in Avanti PU College here in Lingaraj Nagar. That's where I teach. Okay, Pritesh, yes, for all three subjects here. I'm not sure whether it will happen or not, but at least that's what some of the politicians are trying to ensure it happens, right? Okay, so I don't know. Sahana, when will the college open? I don't know, yeah. If I have to take a guess, I'll say August probably. But you never know. You never know, right? JEE and NEET exams are in July end, so I'm pretty sure around that your colleges will open. But again, I can't say much about it. Okay. Chalo. So let's start. Let's not delay anymore. Okay. Enough chit chat for the day. We have already spent 5 minutes on chit chat. So today we'll start with sexual reproduction in flowering plants. That is your second chapter. Okay. Madan, after the class we'll talk. So that is your second chapter, first lecture. Okay. Most probably for this chapter, I'll require 5 to 6 lectures. Any between that 4 to 6 lectures. Let's see how it pans out. What is the pace that you guys study all this? So In the previous chapter, we did a brief overview of sexual reproduction in organisms, where we talked about sexual reproduction in both plants and animals, the phases of life cycle, right? The phases of reproductive cycle. And then we talked about different types of modes of reproduction in plants as well as animals, right? And how they are put into different categories. So the next two chapters, they are exclusively dedicated to. Your second chapter is dedicated to plants, and your third chapter is dedicated to your animals. And the fourth chapter is about your sexual health. Okay, that is your reproductive health. Okay, Pushpa, since this is the first class of the chapter, there are no revision questions, there is no recap. So we'll directly jump into your chapter, which is sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Okay. Okay, Ankita, just check your internet connection once better, because everybody else can hear me clearly. So most probably there's an error from your side. Just check your internet connection once. Okay. Okay. Start karte hain fir. Let's not delay proceedings anymore. Okay. So we all know that plants require flowers in order to sexually reproduce. Right? Plants require flowers to sexually reproduce. So the question is, what is a flower? What is a flower? Right? So flowers are organs specialized to perform sexual reproduction in organisms. Okay, the organs specialized to perform sexual reproduction in angiosperms are your flowers. Basu, the notes are there in the drive. If you cannot find them, that means there is something you're not looking at the proper place. Okay, so flowers are specialized organs to perform sexual reproduction in angiosperms. Right? Okay, now. Flowers are formed over mature plants. Okay, flowers are formed over mature plants in response to hormone-induced structural and physiological changes in shoot apices. Okay, that is okay. My voice is not clear apparently.
Okay, now am I audible clearly to everybody? Just give me a yes or no. Now am I audible to everybody clearly? Just give me a yes or no. Okay, now it's fine. Okay, awesome. Take it. Thank you very much. So. What are organs? Organs are specialized. Okay, so what are flowers? Flowers are specialized organs which perform sexual reproduction in angiosperms. Okay, and flowers are formed in mature plants. Very important. Flowers are formed in mature plants in response to structural and physiological changes in shoot apices. Okay. Induced by hormones. Banashri, just click on audio option at the bottom of your phone and then you'll be able to hear. Okay. So in 11th standard, all of you guys might have studied about different parts of a flower, right? You guys might have studied about different parts of flower. Okay. So, and in 10th standard also you had these parts of flower. So let's just look at it. What are the different parts of flower? So you have petals, then you have sepals, then you have stamen, which is the male reproductive part. Then you have the pistil, which is made up of stigma, style, ovary, and ovule, right? And in 11th standard, you guys might have learned about what is a whorl of sepal known as, what is a whorl of petal known as, what is a whorl of stamen known as, and what is a whorl of pistil known as. So can you guys tell me what is a whorl of sepal known as? Can you guys tell me? Okay, can you guys tell me what is a whorl of sepals known as? Okay, Tamanna, an answer. What is the whorl of sepal is known as? What is the whorl of sepal known as? It seems like some of you are clear with it, some of you are not. And what is a whorl of petals known as? What is the whorl of petals known as? What is the whorl of petals known as? The whorl of petals. Okay, take care. And what is a whorl of stamen known as? What is a whorl of stamen known as? Let's see. What is a whorl of stamen known as? Okay. Take care. And what is a whorl of pistil known as? And what is a whorl of pistil known as? Okay, that's good. Okay, so it seems like you guys remember, at least some of you remember stuff from the standard, some of you do not. Anyway, let's just do a brief recap of that before we move to before we move forward. So, okay, a typical flower has a broad base of thalamus over which there are four whorls. There are four whorls. Okay, so the four whorls is calyx, which is your whorl of sepals. Okay, and then there is petals, which is whorl of corolla, and then you have stamen, which is your androecium, and then you have carpels, which is your gynoecium.
Okay, okay. So let's just resume where we left off here. Okay, so we were talking about the parts of flower, right? Previously, we just talked about what is exactly a flower, right? Flower is the reproductive organ of an angiosperm, right? And it develops on shoot apices because of structural and physiological changes induced by hormones, right? Okay, okay. So we were talking about parts of a flower. So the whorl of sepal is known as calyx, the whorl of petals is known as corolla, the whorl of stamen is known as androecium, and the whorl of carpels is known as gynoecium, and the whorl of carpel is known as gynoecium. Okay? Now board is not clear. What the hell? How is the board not clear? Yeah, it's clear. Okay, okay. Okay, so now, okay, everything is fine, right? Thank you. Okay, so now, what are androecium and gynoecium? Okay, what are androecium and gynoecium? Okay, so androecium and gynoecium represent the male and female reproductive structures of the flowers, right? Since androecium consists of your stamens, if you remember your 10th standard, stamens are your male reproductive parts, and since gynoecium consists of your carpels, okay, your gynoecium represents the female reproductive parts of the plant. Okay, everything else, that is your sepals and petals, are accessory or non-essential floral organs, as they only have a supportive role, right? Since they are not actively involved in the process of reproduction, they are known as accessory or non-essential floral organs, while your androecium and gynoecium represents the male and female part of the flower respective. Okay, everything that you have studied in either 10th or 11th standard, there is nothing new here, right? Okay, okay. As we'll move forward, we'll obviously encounter new things. So the first thing that we'll talk about is stamen. Okay, that will be the main focus of our today's class. That is the male reproductive part of the plant. That is your stamen. I wanted to finish the entire stamen off. Let's see how far along we get today. Okay, so the thing that we'll be focusing on today is your stamen. Okay, okay. So let's see what exactly is stamen. Okay, so stamen is the male reproductive organ or microsporophyll. Remember the name, right? That your stamen is the male reproductive organ or microsporophyll of a flower. Prajwal, what about the last slide you want me to go over again? Just let me know. Okay. Okay. So what does a stamen consist of? A stamen consists of a stalk-like structure which is known as filament and a blob at the top which is known as anther. So a stamen consists of filament and anther. Filament is the stalk-like structure, while anther is the blob-like structure present at the top of the filament. Prajwal, in the last class we just discussed, in the last slide we just discussed what the whorls of sepals, petals, anther and your carpel are known as, and then androecium is the male part, gynoecium is the female reproductive part. Sepals and petals are known as your non reproductive or accessory parts of the plant. Beta, blob you can think of ball. You can think of blob as a ball, right? Well, how can I say it to you in easy language? So if you know, this is the blob of water. So that is what you can say, blob, right? Okay. Take care. So anyway, filament is long, filament is a long and slender stalk, right? Filament is a long and slender stalk. Okay. Now it is attached on one end. To thalamus, petal, or sepal. That is at the bottom of the filament. It is either attached to your thalamus, petal, or sepal. Okay, at its bottom, it is attached to the thalamus, petal, or sepal. and at the top it bears an anther, and at the top it bears an ender. Okay, slender means what? Beta, slender means something that is thin and long. So slender means something that is thin and long, right? Okay, okay. So distally it bears an anther. Distally means at the top end it bears an anther. At the bottom end it is attached to thalamus, petal or septum. Okay. Now, anther is a broader knob-like fertile part of the stamen. Anther is broader knob-like fertile part of the stamen. Okay, knob-like means so the door mein knob hota hai, right, which you twist to open the door. Okay, that is a knob. So anther is a knob-like fertile part of the stamen. Okay, that part of the stamen is fertile, and that part is responsible for production of the male gametes, which later turn into the pollen grain. Right? I hope that this slide is clear to everybody. That your stamen is the male reproductive organ. It is also known as microsporophyll. It consists of two parts. Long, okay, slender filament and a knob-like structure present on the top of the filament, which is known as your anther. At the bottom, the filament is attached to the thalamus, petal or sepal. Okay. Okay. Let's move forward then. So this is what your stamen looks like. So this is your filament, the thin and long structure, and this is your knob-like fertile part, which is known as your anther. What happened there? Okay. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. So, yeah. So, a thin filament stalk-like structure known as filament, a thin structure known as filament, and a knob-like structure present at the top, which is fertile, which is known as anther. Do not worry, I have muted everybody. Okay. Okay. So now let's move forward. Let's talk about your anther in much more detail. Okay, because anther is the fertile part, and that is where your formation of the pollen grain takes place. So anther is a bilobed knob-like fertile part of the plant. Why are we calling it bilobed? Okay, because if you look at the previous figure, you can see that it consists of two lobes. This is your first lobe and this is your second lobe. So it consists of two lobes. That is why it is called a bilobed structure. That is why it's called what? It's called a bilobed structure. Okay. So anther is a knob-like fertile part of the stamen, which is bilobed. Bilobed means it consists of two lobes. Next is each lobe has two chambers or theca. Okay. Inside each lobe, there is two chamber or theca. That is why they are called dithecous, because each lobe contains two chambers or two theca. That is why they're called dithecous. So in one anther, how many chambers will be there? In one anther, how many chambers will be there? In one anther, how many chambers will be there? In one anther, how many chambers will be there? In one anther, 4 chambers will be there. In one anther, 4. Dekho. One anther consists of two lobes. This is your first lobe. This is your second lobe. And each lobe consists of two chambers or two theca. Each lobe consists of two chambers, right? So you'll get two chambers from here. You will get two chambers from here. So how many chambers does each anther have? Each anther has 4 chambers or 4 theca. Remember that. Do not get confused. Okay? Each anther contains 2 lobes. Each lobe contains 2 theca or 2 chamber. That is why they are called dithecous. And each anther contains 4 theca or 4 chambers. Okay? Yaad rakhna isko. Pranav, I'll show the diagram. Do not worry. Next page for diagram. So, 2 chambers of an anther lobe possess microsporangia. So inside each chamber there is microsporangia, and microsporangia is responsible for production of pollen grains. Okay? So inside each chamber there is microsporangia. So since there are 4 chambers, how many microsporangia will be there? 4. How many microsporangia will be there? 4. So thus a bilobed anther is tetrasporangiate. Thus a bilobed anther is tetrasporangiate because each chamber contains, okay, each chamber contains one microsporangia. Since there are 4 chambers, there will be 4 microsporangia. Therefore, each anther is tetrasporangiate. Okay, each anther is dithecous because each lobe contains, okay, each lobe contains 2 theca. Each lobe contains 2 theca. So therefore, so anther are known as dithecous because in one lobe there are 2 theca. But each theca contains 1 microsporangia. Since there are 4 theca, there will be 4 microsporangia. Let's see. Okay, in the next figure, in the next slide, I have typed. Okay, if you look at it, there are. So this is your one lobe. This is your second lobe. These are your 2 lobes. Okay, these are your 2 lobes. Inside each lobe, there are 2 chambers. This is your first chamber, second chamber. Okay, I'll use some different color. Okay, so inside each lobe there are 2 chambers, first chamber and second chamber. You guys can barely see that, yeah. So inside there are 2 chambers. Okay, inside there are 2 chambers. There are 2 lobes. Inside each lobe there are 2 chambers. Inside each lobe there are 2 chambers. Okay, and each chamber consists 1 microsporangia. So how many microsporangia will be there? 1, 2, 3, 4. That is why each bilobed anther is known as tetrasporangiate because it contains 4 theca and each theca contains 1 microsporangia. So each bilobed anther is also known as tetrasporangiate. Is this clear to everybody? Why each bilobed anther is known as tetrasporangiate? Is this clear to everybody? Just give me a yes or no, beta. Is this clear to everybody? Is this clear to everybody? ये सबको समझा क्या? ठीक है? Okay. I'll repeat the entire thing again because this is very important. देखो, anther is bilobe. This is one lobe. This is the second lobe. ठीक है? Anther is bilobe. In each lobe, there are 2 chambers or 2 theca. So in this, there will be 1 and 2. Here you will have 1 and 2. So in each lobe, there are 2 theca. And inside each theca, there is a microsporangia. Inside each theca, there is microsporangia. So since there are 4 theca, 1, 2, 3, and 4. It is also known as tetrasporangiate. So an anther is dithecous as well as tetrasporangiate. Okay? Okay. Yes, theca and chamber are same. We can use them interchangeably. Okay? Okay. So let's look at this last point. The microsporangia develop and turns into a pollen sac. So the 4 microsporangia that you see, they turn into pollen sacs, which are responsible for production of pollen. Pritesh, I'll have to check that. I cannot tell that without confirming. So for the moment, I would recommend that you use these 2 names. Okay? So a bilobed anther is dithecous because each lobe contains 2 theca, and a bilobed anther is tetrasporangiate because it consists in total 4 chambers and each chamber contains 1 microsporangia. Clear हुआ सबको? Is this clear to everybody? Okay? Okay. So I hope this is now clear to everybody. Now let's move forward. Okay? The 4 microsporangia of an anther lie at its 4 corners, right? As you can see in the previous diagram, that the 4 microsporangia lie at the 4 corners. So the 4 microsporangia lie at the 4 corners. Okay? Okay. Now, rarely an anther lobe has only 1 microsporangia. That is, we know that each lobe has how many? 2 chambers, right? So, but there are some in which there is only 1 chamber. Okay, an example for that is Wolffia. Yaad rakhna. Okay, so there are some exceptions. Usually, each lobe contains 2 microsporangia, but Wolffia is an example in which there is only 1 microsporangia. Okay, after that, or there might be just 1 microsporangia per anther. Okay, so you can either have 1 microsporangia in each lobe. If there is 1 microsporangia in each lobe, how many microsporangia are there? How many microsporangia are there? If there is 1 microsporangia in each lobe, in a bilobed anther, so how many microsporangia will be there? How many microsporangia will be there? There will be 2 microsporangia. There will be 2 microsporangia. Or there can be 1 microsporangia per anther. In full anther, there is only 1 microsporangia. So, dhyan rakhna in these two, what is the difference? Please remember what is the difference between these two. In this, there is 1 microsporangia per lobe. In this, there is 1 microsporangia per lobe, right? But in the bottom one, there is 1 microsporangia per anther. Okay? Is everybody clear with the difference between these two examples? Is everybody clear with the difference between these two examples? Yes or no? Is everybody clear? In the first case, there is 1 microsporangia per lobe. That means 2 microsporangia per bilobed anther. In the bottom one, there is only 1 microsporangia per anther. Dhyan rakhna uska. Okay? So for the top one, then you have Wolffia. For the bottom one, the example is, okay, Azotopium. Okay, just remember that. Gauri, you want me to repeat again? In the first one, each lobe has 1 microsporangia. Each lobe has 1 microsporangia. So if the organism is bilobe, it contains 2 lobe. Dono lobe mein एक एक microsporangia. So in total 2 microsporangia. Okay. Now in the bottom one, there is 1 microsporangia per anther. There is 1 microsporangia per anther. There is 1 microsporangia per anther. So पूरे anther में ही एक microsporangia. ठीक है? Yes, Pushpa. ठीक है? Okay. So let's move forward now. I hope that is now clear to everybody. ठीक है? Now, in a transverse section, a typical microsporangia appears nearly circular in outline. It appears nearly circular in outline. बेटा bottom का मतलब नीचे यार. Okay, ठीक है. Okay, so typical microsporangia is nearly circular in outline. That means it is almost like a circle. It is almost like a circle. Now, each microsporangia consists of 2 parts. Each microsporangia consists of 2 parts. What are the 2 parts? An outer wall and central homogeneous sporogenous tissue. So it consists of 2 parts, outer wall and sporogenous tissue. याद रखने वाली चीज है भी that each microsporangia consists of 2 things, an outer wall and a sporogenous tissue. The wall has a different function. The sporogenous tissue has a different function. Okay? Now the wall is made up of 4 layers. The wall is made up of 4 layers. What are the 4 layers? The 4 layers are epidermis, endothecum, middle layer and tapetum. Okay? So the wall is made up of 4 layers. Epidermis, the outermost layer, endothecum just on the inside, middle layer, and then the innermost layer of the wall is tapetum. And inside the tapetum, you see your sporogenous tissue. Reshma will come to what is sporogenous tissue. I'll cover that. Okay? Up to clear hua? So on this slide, what did we cover? Microsporangia is circular in nature, consists of 2 parts. Outer wall, sporogenous tissue. Consists of 2 walls, consists of 2 parts, outer wall and sporogenous tissue. Outer wall is made up of 4 layers. Outer wall is made up of 4 layers. What are the 4 layers of the outer wall? Epidermis, endothecum, middle layer, tapetum. Those are the layers of the wall. Those are the layers of the wall. Okay? Those are wall layers. They are not part of your sporogenous tissue. Sporogenous tissue is different. ठीक है? Yes, beta आएंगे. Do not worry what is tapetum and all that. I'll cover all that. ठीक है? So I hope this is clear to everybody now. Okay, let's move forward then. Let's move forward. Okay, now yes, Afrin. ठीक है? Okay, so if you look at the diagram, what we discussed in the previous, so each microsporangia, as you can see, is circular in outline. Each microsporangia, as you can see, is circular in outline. Tetrasporangiate you are seeing tetrasporangiate anther, you are seeing. Okay, so there are 4 microsporangia here, so it is a tetra microsporangia. Now it consists of 4 layers. Outer layer is epidermis. Just inside epidermis is endothecum. Just inside endothecum is your middle layer, and the innermost layer is tapetum. And inside the tapetum is your sporogenous tissue. Inside the tapetum is your sporogenous tissue. So this is what we studied in the last slide looks in the diagram. Okay, this is a transverse section. That means if you cut a anther and look at it from the top under a microscope, this is what you will see. So this is your wall. This is your wall. Outer epidermis, just inside endothecum, then middle layer, and then tapetum. Okay? Okay, let's move forward then. Okay, let's move forward then. Now, Dhanashree, just wait after the class, I'll explain. Okay, so let's see then. Okay, so the outer 3 wall layers perform the function of protection. The outer 3 wall layers, that is your epidermis, endothecum, and middle layer, they perform the function of protection. They perform the function of protection. Okay, and help in dehiscence of anther to release the pollen. Now, what does dehiscence means? That is opening up, breaking of the anther to release the pollen, right? Once pollen has been formed, the anther breaks up to release the pollen. That is what dehiscence means, rupturing. Okay, as Umesh pointed out. Okay, okay. Chetan, do not worry, sporogenous tissue का भी एक अच्छा diagram है. We'll look at it. Okay, okay. So the outer 3 wall layers perform the function of protection and rupturing the anther to release the pollen, breaking the anther to release the pollen once the pollen grain has been formed. Now, tapetum nourishes the developing pollen grain. So the function of tapetum is not, okay, the function of tapetum is not protection. The function of tapetum is nourishing the developing pollen grain. Beta, dehiscence means, as I just explained, rupturing, breaking to release the pollen grain. That is what dehiscence means. Okay, okay. So tapetum nourishes the developing pollen grain, and cells of tapetum possess dense cytoplasm and generally have more than 1 nucleus. Okay, so they contain dense cytoplasm which is rich in nutrients, which it provides to the developing pollen grain, and usually it has more than 1 nucleus. What is the condition known as where there is more than 1 nucleus? What is the condition known as, beta, where there is more than 1 nucleus? What is the condition known as? Okay. Some are saying multinucleate. Most of you are saying syncytium. Okay. Most of you are saying syncytium. Okay. Or multinucleate, and if in layman terms you want to put it, right? So the function of the first 3 layers. Okay. Okay. The function of the first 3 layer. Okay. So what is the difference between syncytium and cenocytic here? What is the difference between syncytium and cenocytic? I'm pretty sure you guys must have been told the difference in 11th standard. What is the difference between syncytium and cenocytic condition? Can anybody tell me what is the difference between syncytium and cenocytic? Okay. 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 You guys can let me know after the class. What do you think is the difference between syncytium and cenocytic? Okay. Okay. Let's see. So the function of the outer 3 layers is to protect and to break the anther, to rupture the anther, to release the pollen. Okay. And tapetum is involved in nourishing the pollen grain. Tapetum possesses dense cytoplasm and generally has more than 1 nucleus. This is a line straight out of your NCERT textbook. It has dense cytoplasm and generally has more than 1 nucleus. Okay. Let's move forward then. Okay. The microsporangia. Okay. So where does the microsporangia come from? Okay, the microsporangia develops from strips of archisporial cells. Okay, so when the flower is developing, before microsporangia there is archisporial cells. There is archisporial cells. There is archisporial cells. ठीक है प्रत्युष समझ गया? Okay, there is archisporial cells. Okay, so what archisporial cells do is that they divide into two different types of cells. It gives rise to two different types of cells. The two different types of cells that gives rise to are parietal cells and sporogenous cells. And sporogenous cells gives rise to your sporogenous tissue. So your sporogenous cells give rise to your sporogenous tissue, right? So before the development of microsporangia, there is a strip of archisporial cells. The archisporial cells give rise to two types of cells, parietal cells and sporogenous cells. The sporogenous cells form the sporogenous tissue. What is sporogenous tissue? अभी हमने नहीं पढ़ा है, so घबराओ मत. And the parietal cells give rise to your wall. And the parietal cells give rise to your wall. Okay, your parietal cells give rise to your epidermis, endothecum, middle layer, and tapetum. Okay, so before there is microsporangia, there are archisporial cells. There are archisporial cells. The archisporial cells give rise to two different types of cells. The archisporial cells give rise to two different types of cells, parietal cells and sporogenous cells. Sporogenous cells form your sporogenous tissue. Your parietal cells give rise to the four layers of the wall. सबको clear हुआ ये? Give me a yes or no. Is this clear to everybody? Give me a yes or no, beta. Is this clear to everybody? Give me a yes or no. ठीक है? So this is clear to everybody? ठीक है? They differentiate, beta. They differentiate. Pushpa, they differentiate. Obviously, they cannot just simply divide. They differentiate because sporogenous tissue have different function. Parietal cells have different function. Okay, so I'll move forward then. Okay, again, if you have any doubt, just let me know in the chat box. I'm more than happy to go over your doubt. Okay, okay. So Abhishek want me to repeat it again. Chalo Abhishek, ek baar aur dekh lo beta. Microsporangia, the entire microsporangia develops from archisporial cells. The entire microsporangia develops from archisporial cells. The archisporial cells differentiate into two different types of cells, parietal cells and sporogenous cells. Parietal cells and sporogenous cells. Parietal cells give rise to your four layers of the wall: epidermis, endothecum, middle layers, and tapetum. The sporogenous cells give rise to your sporogenous tissue. And we have learned that the function of these three is protection, function of this is nourishment of the developing pollen grain. Okay, I hope ab sabko clear ho gaya hoga. Okay, now let's move forward. Okay, so the sporogenous tissue fills the whole interior of a microsporangium. That is, the inside of the microsporangium is completely stuffed or filled by your sporogenous tissue. Now, cells of sporogenous tissue divide with the growth of anther and increase their number. So as the anther develops, the cells of the sporogenous tissue also divide. Okay, the cells of the sporogenous tissue also divide. Pritish, I have to take everybody in consideration, beta. Thoda sa patient rehna padega. Okay, so the cells divide as the anther grow and increase in number. What happens is, once the anther is maturing, ultimately they get transferred into microspore or pollen mother cell. Okay, so these so the microsporangia cells, okay, the cells of these sporangia, okay, they transform into microspore mother cell or pollen mother cell. Remember both the names. Okay, that the cells of the sporogenous tissue, that is sporogenous cells, get transformed into microspore or pollen mother cells, and these cells are responsible for ultimately giving rise to your pollen grains. Okay, and PMC are diploid. PMC are diploid. That is, pollen mother cells are diploid. Wherever you see PMC, that means I am talking about pollen mother cells. Okay, I'll repeat the entire thing once again. So the entire microsporangia, the inside of this is filled by sporogenous tissue. The inside of this is filled by sporogenous tissue. the cells of the sporogenous tissue divide and get transformed into microspore or pollen mother cell. बस इतना ही. These cells of the sporogenous tissue get transformed into microspore or pollen mother cell, which are diploid. That is 2n chromosomes are seen. 2n chromosomes are seen. I hope this is now clear to everybody. Check it. Then let's move forward. Okay. So how is the formation of pollen grains or the male gamete take place? This is where your sporogenous tissue comes in. So far हमने क्या पढ़ा? Sporogenous tissue transforms into, अभी आऊंगा उस पर. Sporogenous tissue transforms into microspore mother cell or pollen mother cell, which is diploid. Now what happens after that? The microspore mother cell or microsporocytes, another name of microspore mother cell or pollen mother cell, microsporocytes. So there are three names: pollen mother cell, microspore mother cell, microsporocytes. Remember that. अब तक जो भी divisions हुए हैं, all those divisions are mitotic. That is conversion of sporogenous tissue cells into microspore mother cell or pollen mother cell or microsporocytes. Those are all mitosis. Okay? Now, what happens once microspore mother cell or pollen mother cell or microsporocytes have been formed? What happens after that? That it develops an internal layer of callus, which breaks the plasmodesmal connections among them. So what happens is, you can see this brown portion here. This brown portion in the figure, that is a callus layer. That is a callus layer. Okay? So callus is a polysaccharide. Okay? Callus is a polysaccharide. So there is development of an internal layer of callus, which breaks the plasmodesmal connection. Plasmodesmata yaad hai? We started in the chapter number 8 of 11th standard. Plasmodesmata, right? Plasmodesmata are connections which connect the cytoplasm of neighboring plant cells, right? So what is the function of callus? Callus seals of these plasmodesmata also. Callus seals of these plasmodesmata also. Now the cytoplasm is also not in contact. Now there is no exchange of material between neighboring pollen mother cells or microspore mother cells or microsporocytes. Okay? So what happens is, first step in male gamete formation, which is known as microsporogenesis, is there is development of an layer of callus which seals of the plasmodesmal connections. Which seals of the plasmodesmal connections. Okay? Now, the separated mother cells round off and undergo meiosis to produce tetrads of haploid form. उसके बाद क्या होता है? The microspore mother cells or pollen mother cells or microsporocytes, they undergo meiosis. They undergo meiosis to produce a tetrad of microspores. Tetrad means what? Char. And जैसे if they are present in two, we call them what? Pairs. So if they are present in four, we call them tetrad. Okay, Anushri, the orange coating that you see here, this is your callus wall. The orange coating that you see here is callus wall. Okay, so your microsporocyte is 2n, but what happens is it forms a tetrad which are all n. Why? Because meiosis takes place. Why? Because meiosis takes place, and we know that meiosis is reductional division. So a cell of 2n chromosomes gives rise to 4 cells of n chromosomes each. Okay? Okay? You want me to explain again? Dekho beta. The pollen mother cells, the microspore mother cells or the microsporocytes, first step is they develop an internal layer of callus, which is a polysaccharide. What is the function of callus? The function of callus is it seals of the plasmodesmata connection also. So if you remember, in plant cells there is connections, right? There are connections. Plasmodesmata hota hai, which allows for transfer of material. So callus seals this off also. Callus seals this off also completely. Okay? And once callus has sealed it off, then what happens is, once callus has sealed it off, then what happens is, okay, once callus has sealed it off, then what happens is that the microspore mother cell or pollen mother cell or microsporocyte, all those three are same thing. they undergo meiosis to produce tetrad of microspores. So the daughter cells at the end of meiosis are known as microspores. These are your microspores. Okay? After that, what happens is the microspores grow and separate from one another. So right now the microspore are present together as a tetrad. Then they grow and separate from each other. Okay? And this process is known as microsporogenesis. Microspore is the male gamete. Okay, microspore is the male gamete, and this entire process of formation of microspore is known as microsporogenesis. Is this clear to everybody? Beta, give me a yes or no. Is this clear to everybody? ये सबको समझा क्या? पुष्पा आऊंगा, सब्र रखो. Vegetative nucleus, tube nucleus, generative nucleus. I'll clear all that up. Just wait. Is this clear to everybody? सबको समझा? Check it. Let's move forward then. Okay, let's move forward. Now, the microspore, as they are formed, are arranged in a cluster of 4 cells, the microspore tetrad, right? As we saw in the previous figure, that they are produced in a cluster of 4. That is why they are called tetrad. Okay, you want me to repeat it again? Dekho beta. Last time, the microspore mother cell, pollen mother cell, or microsporocytes, all of them are name of the same cells. First step is development of development of callus layer, which completely seals off your plasmodesmata connections. After that, what happens is, the separated mother cells, okay, so these mother cells, it undergoes meiosis. The mother cell, it undergoes meiosis to produce 4 daughter cells. The 4 daughter cells, since they are together, they are known as tetrad. Okay? And the daughter cells, which are known as microspores, they are haploid, obviously, because meiosis. Why? And we know that meiosis, the chromosomes number reduce. Okay? The microspores of the tetrad grow and separate from each other. Abhi dekho sare ek sath present hai, so they are called tetrad. Then they separate from each other. Right? And then this phenomena is called microsporogenesis. So honestly, in boards, the question can be asked, explain the process of microsporogenesis. So this is what you're supposed to tell. Okay? I hope this is now clear to everybody. Chalo. So the microspores, as they are formed, are arranged in cluster of 4 cells. So they are arranged in cluster of 4 cells, right? They are present together in a cluster of 4 cells. Hence they are called what? They are called tetrad. Hence they are called what? Tetrad, right? Okay. Now, so polyspory is occurrence of more than 4 spores. So if more than 4 spores are produced, then that is known as polyspory. In most of the cases, only 4 spores are produced from each microspore mother cell or pollen mother cell or microsporocyte. But in some cases, more than 4 spores are also produced. And that condition is known as polyspory. So Vijayalakshmi, there are some plants in which polyspory happens on their own, which is their part of the natural life cycle. Okay? So as many as 11 microspores are observed in tetrad in Cuscuta. So in Cuscuta, you see 11 microspores. In Cuscuta, you see 11 microspores. Okay? Now, as the anthers mature and dehydrate, that is, as the anthers mature and dehydrate, the microspores dissociate from each other and develop into pollen grains. So what happens is, when the anther develops and dehydrates, then all these will go their separate raste. Okay, they all will separate from each other. And each one of them will turn into a pollen grain. So you have a tetrad of microspores. So when the anther dehydrates and matures, the microspores split from each other, and each of them are capable of giving rise to a pollen grain. So Dhanush, if I have to give a reason why polyspory might occur, I will say that to increase the number of pollen grains being produced, right? So inside each microsporangium, several thousands of microspores or pollen grains are formed. that are released with descent of anther. So inside each microsporangia, right? If we go back to this figure of ours, where is this figure? So inside each microsporangia, there are thousands of microspores, and each one of those microspores are capable of giving rise to a pollen grain. So each microsporangia consists thousands of microspores which are capable of giving rise to a pollen grain. Abhishek, you want me to repeat again? चलो एक बार और सुन लो, ठीक है? एक बार और सुन लो, सूरज, you also, ठीक है? So when the microspore mother cell or pollen mother cell or microsporocyte undergoes meiosis, it gives rise to a tetrad of cells which are known as microspores. ये पता है meiosis में 4 daughter cells आते हैं. That in meiosis, at the end of meiosis there are 4 daughter cells. I hope you know, right? So this is your pollen mother cell and this is your microsporocytes. These are your microspores. Okay, sorry, these are your microspores. These are your microspores or your male gametes. Okay, so your pollen mother cells undergoes meiosis and it gives rise to 4 daughter cells which are known as microspores. The only difference is that the 4 microspores are present together, hence they are known as tetrad. Hence they are known as what? Tetrad. Hence they are known as what? Tetrad. Okay, but as the anther develops, the tetrads split from each other and each of those microspore is capable of giving rise to a pollen grain. Okay, each of them are capable of giving rise to a pollen grain, right? Okay, so I hope this is now clear to everybody. Okay, Pratibha, just stay back after the class. I'll tell you how. Okay, I'll have a theory on that. I'll tell you how. Okay, just stay back after the class, Pratibha. Okay, so that is what was explained in this slide. I hope now this is clear to everybody. I hope सबको समझा होगा. चलो, let's move forward. Okay, so I want to do pollen grain also, but I don't think I can do pollen grain today, so I'll do pollen grain tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, so usually the arrangement of microspore in a tetrad is tetrahedral. Usually the arrangement of microspore in a tetrad is tetrahedral. Okay, okay, so now what is this? Okay, so but there are other types of shapes also found, but the other types of shapes are also found. What are the other types of shapes? The other types of shapes are decussate, linear and T-shaped tetrads. Usually the tetrads are tetrahedral. Usually the tetrad is tetrahedral. Okay, but other shapes are also found. As you can see, this is your diffuse, this is your T-shape, and this is your linear. Usually you will find them in this. Okay, which is your tetrahedral. But they can be found in other shapes also. And a very good example for this is in Artilochia elegans, all 5 types of tetrads have been recorded. In Artilochia elegans, all 5 types of tetrads have been recorded. Okay, usually the tetrads are in tetrahedral shape, but they can be found in other shapes also. And in this particular plant, that is your Artilochia elegans, all the 5 types of tetrad shapes are also recorded. So make sure that you remember this name. In this particular plant, all the 5 types shapes of tetrads are also recorded. Okay, yahan tak sabko clear hua? Is this clear to everybody? Please give me a yes or no, beta. Is this clear to everybody? Please give me a yes or no. Okay, is this clear to everybody? Okay, so pollen grain is something I'll do tomorrow. Okay, I wanted to do pollen grain also, but we ended up wasting half an hour on this. So we'll do pollen grain tomorrow. Okay, I'm really sorry about the error at the beginning. Okay, I hope that it won't persist tomorrow. Okay, so pollen grain we'll do tomorrow. Okay, thank you very much for your patience. Thank you very much for sticking around. I really appreciate that. Okay, so I'll see you guys tomorrow then. Okay, please take care, everybody. If you have any doubts, just stay back. If you have any doubts, stay back after the class. Okay, I'll clear up your doubts. On that note, I'll end today's class. Okay, on that note, I'll end today's class. Okay, Anand, beta, the notes are there in the group description. Okay, the notes are there in the group description. You want to see the previous? Yellow beta. Okay, The notes are there in the group description. You can see it from there. Okay. Okay. So please take care, everybody. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Okay. Bye bye.